DARSUL TV, keeping you in the know.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We are Surah Yaseen. I believe you all know where you ended the last time. That is Surah Yaseen, the 16th chapter of the Holy Quran. And today we'll read from the same chapter from verse 23. Those of you who have the Quran, you can open. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون. أتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردنا الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون. The translation of these verses is, and why should I not worship him who has created me and unto whom you will be brought back? Shall I take others beside him as gods? Shall I take others beside him as gods? If the gracious God should intend me any harm, their intercession will avail me no naught, nor can they rescue me. Suratul Azim. These verses of the Holy Quran, two of them, reminds us immediately about the purpose for which we have been created as human beings. First and foremost, it tells us that we have been created by somebody, and that somebody who created us has created us for only one purpose. And the purpose for which he created us is that we should worship him. When you talk of worshiping Allah, worship takes many forms. You can worship Allah in the form of salat, which we have just said. It is worship. Worship in Islam, in Arabic, in the Holy Quran, is referred to as ibadah. And ibadah consists of many things. It is not only salat that is called ibadah, but there are a number of components. For instance, when you say salat, it says ibadah. When you fast during the month of Ramadan, it is ibadah. When you perform pilgrimage to Hajj, it is ibadah. And there are many other forms of ibadah. Ibadah, since it comes in many forms, also includes you, the individual, loving anything. If you love God more than any other thing that Allah has created in this world, that love, the expression of love that you have for your Creator, is itself ibadah. Now, Allah Ta'ala forbids us from worshiping any other being, human being, animal, or object. Ibadah is only due to Allah Ta'ala. And a reason has been given in the Holy Quran as to why ibadah is due only to Allah Ta'ala. And it is because he created us, we human beings. And he didn't end there by creating us. After creating us, he made us know that he has created us only for the purpose of worshiping him. Allah did not just command us to worship him, and that became the end of it. But he also knew that for the human being to be able to worship him, the human being needs certain things. Therefore, he made sure that he made those needs of the human being available to him, so that the human being should have no cause for not being able to worship Allah because he has not got this or got that. As God created human beings to this world, each and every one of you, including me, and every other human being that you know of in the world, we created, we grow, and we find that we are living on land. Nobody brought land. It is Allah who made land available to human beings before even the very first human being on earth was born. And before each and every one of us was born, the land on which we were going to live was already there. The air that each and every one of us was to breathe at the time of your birth, it was available. Our parents did not have to struggle to buy air for us to breathe. It was already there. And God made it available, and nobody had to pay for it. It is free for everybody. If you compare the natural air that we breathe right from the time that we are born, which we breathe freely, compared to when somebody is sick and is admitted to hospital and he needs oxygen, the cost of the oxygen that we put on us for a short period, when you take that into consideration and compare it to the fact that that same oxygen, Allah has made it available to all of us free of charge. Nobody has bought it. Nobody's parents bought air for them to breathe. God has not made air available only to Muslims or only to Africans or only to Europeans. God has not made air available to only the rich or only to the poor. He has made it available to everybody. All his creation, he made it available. Now, God knows that we will need to be able to eat food, to be healthy and strong, to worship him. He wants us to worship him. And the reason why he created us was for us to worship him. And therefore, he also makes available to us the things that will help us to worship him. I mentioned land. We build on land. We're sitting in a mosque, which is built on land. There isn't any one of us whose grandfather brought land to this world, or his father brought land to this world. We all met the land. On this land, we build our houses. We live. We farm on these very lands to get food to eat. Apart from giving us land on which we can do so many things. We can do our businesses. We can make our dwelling places. We can make our farms. We can build our mosques, our schools, and so on and so forth. Nobody brought it from anywhere. God made it available to everybody. Apart from that, he makes rain to fall. He knows as human beings we will eat. And once he's provided us the land, he knows we will have to cultivate that land so that we get food to eat. So the farmer goes and he tills the land. He either uses a hoe, a cutlass, a tractor, or whatever implement is available to him or her, prepares the land and sows the seed. When you sow the seed, nobody uses any mechanism to let the seed to grow, to sprout. There isn't any one of us here who knows what mechanism Allah Ta'ala uses to let the seed to germinate into a plant. And when you look at a plant when it's generating, you can sit by the plant for 1 month, for 2 months, but you will never find it shooting up. You find it rising, rising, rising. You would only find that it has sprouted. The size is increased every now and then. Even though you are sitting by it, you can never tell at what point it increased. If it is maize, you may sit there and find that it has grown above you, and you'll have to stand up to be able to compete with the height of the plant, and so on and so forth. God did all these things for us for only one reason, that we should worship him. And for us to be able to worship him, we should be comfortable. Out of the things Allah has provided for us, cotton, silk, and many other things, we are able to make clothes to wear and beautify ourselves. We are able to get timber and get many other minerals from our mountains, from underground, with which we build our houses. We even make cars, aeroplanes, out of the things, the minerals Allah Ta'ala has made available for us. And he has also given us the intellect. And he says, use the intellect that I have given you. I gave that intellect to you free. Use it to go and cut wood from the forest and use it to roof your building. He taught us to use the intellect to prepare bricks, whether cement bricks, big bricks, raw bricks, or what have you, to use them to build houses. He even taught the earlier ones before us to make caves. Some of them could cut into and hew big rocks and make room for their own stay. Others made caves that were naturally put in place by the Almighty Allah, and they used them as their dwelling places, and so on and so forth. Then the question is, if there is any one of us who does a lot of good to any other brother or sister, you do so much good to your brother or your sister or your friend, you ask yourself, why am I doing this and for this my friend or this my brother? And you would also ask yourself, why is this my friend doing this good for me, to me? Why does he help me? Then you will have to find an answer. Nobody does anything without having a reason. It is only people who are mentally deranged. We call them simply mad people, who do things without reasoning. But anybody who does anything to the other person, there is a purpose for which you do it. And if I do you good, and you want me to do you more and more and more good, you will have to appreciate the fact that I have done you good by simply telling me, thank you. I'm grateful for what you have done for me. So, Allah says he created us, and out of his own attribute of Rahmaniyah, he made everything available for us. He didn't end up there. He created other things, like the animals we know that exist in the world. The cattle, the sheep, the goats, guinea fowls, or what have you. But those other beings that he created, we call them lower beings. And Allah Ta'ala has commanded all those things that they should serve the human being. That is why when you get hold of a goat, you want to eat the meat, you put it down on the ground, and you take a knife and slaughter it and eat the meat. But the goat cannot complain, because the goat knows that it has been created to serve you, the human being. So the goat does it dutifully without complaining. The goat knows that, yes, this is my duty, this is my master. I have been created to serve him, only to make him happy, for him to make me, to use me to meet whatever he wants. We can see cattle, how stronger the cow is, more than the human being, but they submit to us. All that, if we ponder over it, even you, the human being, you will know that God did not create all these things for us. He did not create us and made available to us all these things just for nothing. There is a reason why he created us. It is the reason why this verse of the Holy Quran, the 23rd verse, it says, and why should I not worship him? وَمَا لِي لَا أَعْبُدُ الَّذِي فَطَرَنِي. He says, why should I not worship him who has created me? He has not only created me, وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. And I know that I'll be going back to him. Why therefore should I not worship him? I know that I'll be going back to him, because some of us here, we do not know our grandparents. If you know your grandfather, but you don't know your great-grandfather, but you know he lived before, where is he now? He is gone. Where has he gone to? He's gone back to his creator. There are some sitting down among us whose grandparents are dead. We saw them before they died. Where have they gone? There are some of us whose mothers are dead. Some of us, our parents are dead. Some of us, we have brothers who are dead. Some of us have sisters who are dead. We have uncles who are dead. We have nephews who are dead. Where have they gone to? They've gone to where they've come from. They came from God, and they were bound to return to God. And returning to God comes in the form of dying. Then you return to your Creator. So the verse says, the true, proper human being who is God-fearing and who has wisdom, the question that he asks himself is, why should I not worship God? That identity who created me. He created me, and I have nothing but to go back to him at the end of the day. Just as my grandparents, they used to exist, but they've gone back to him. My parents, or the many people I've mentioned, they used to exist, but they've gone back to him. If you see this mosque that we are sitting in it, we're saying salat in it, and we are having this dars here and in this same mosque. The people who built this mosque, all of them are not alive today. Some of them are dead. They've gone back to their Creator, God. And it is the reason why they made the sacrifices monetarily, using their own time and energy and many other ways and means to build this mosque, so that that will be the form of worship of their Creator. The act of putting up the mosque, doing good things for the glory of God, is also worship. They built up the mosque, they worshipped here, and they've made it possible for us, me and you sitting down here today, to worship in this same mosque. So it meant that those who built this mosque, they are not here today. They've gone back to their Creator. They knew they were to go back to their Creator at a certain point in time. And they knew the purpose for which God created them was for them to worship God. So they did all that they could within their own capacities to worship God. Because at the end of the day, they know they were going back to God. And God will ask them, you know very well that I created you simply because I wanted you to worship me. I didn't need anything more from you. Did you fulfill that? When you went, did you worship me? Those who are lucky ones among us who listen to the word of the Holy Quran, they are the true worshippers of Allah. Those of us who fail to listen to the words of Allah, which we find in the Holy Quran, Allah's prophets have reiterated, explained, and explained again and again these words of Allah to us. Did we make any good use of them? The unfortunate ones among us, instead of using those material things God has created for us to make us comfortable enough to worship Him, we turn around to use those same things. Instead of using them to worship God, we use them to worship our fellow human beings and to worship material things. Instead of using them to worship God. For instance, God gives you wealth. You become rich. Instead of using that wealth of yours to worship Allah, you rather use it for material things. Instead of giving your full respect and worshiping Allah with the health that He's given you, you rather use it to worship your fellow human beings. You call him a king, your president, a minister, your traditional leader, a rich person, somebody who is a benefactor to you, and so on and so forth. Some of us use it to worship our children. Allah gives you wealth and tells you, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, that this wealth that He has given you, out of it, regardless of the quantity that you have, Allah has a share in it. So use a portion of it to worship Him. But then you refuse. And you would rather, you want to use it only to beautify yourself, buy beautiful clothes. The ladies will want to use it to buy beautiful clothes, do make-ups, to make themselves attractive. The men will do the same thing, use it to enhance their own personalities. Yes, nobody says it is good, it is bad. No one says that it is bad. But that should not be the purpose and the sole purpose for which you have been given that wealth. As you use it for other purposes, you cleanse that same wealth. If you give out that portion which belongs to God to Him, He doesn't say that you should give everything back to me. Give a little bit of it to me. But then, because you become materialistic, you say, oh no, God, this, if I give out 1/16th part of my wealth to you, it will not be enough for me to buy my beautiful clothes. The balance, the remaining amount with me will not enable me to build my beautiful house, to build my beautiful car. Therefore, I cannot afford to give any small fraction of my wealth to you. Meanwhile, he's the one who gave you. When you do that, what it means is this, that instead of worshiping God with the things that he has given you, you are rather using those things to worship other material things that are supposed to be serving you, the human being. Material things that are supposed to serve you, the human being, you turn round to be serving those things instead of serving the correct person who is your creator, God. So this verse of the Holy Quran simply tells us that as we as human beings, there is no single one among us who has any reason why he should not or she should not worship Allah. If you ponder over your life, you will conclude that you cannot get any reasonable explanation to give why you should not worship God. Each of one of us were born babies. As we were born, we only knew our mothers and our fathers. At a point, we thought our mothers and our fathers, they were gods. They were the ones who created us. This is what happens to every child. It is only when you grow into majority, you become an adult, and you start gaining wisdom, you start reasoning, then you come to know that your mother was also created by somebody. She did not create herself. And your father did not create himself. Somebody created them and used them to bring you into life as his creation too. Just as some other people were used to bring your father and your mother back to life and into life as creatures who have been created by Allah. So Allah says, he has created you. Your own parents, he created them. As you grow, you get to know that, yes, there is a supernatural being. You see a small child who, while still very young, does not know, is not mature enough intellectual to get to know that there is somebody who is a creator, who created his father and his mother too. That child thinks the mother is all-powerful and the father is all-powerful. There is the story of an African child who goes to the farm with the father, and they were in the farm when an aeroplane flew past, an aeroplane. And the child pointed to the father, the poor African farmer in the farm, his son, draws his attention. He said, "Daddy, buy one of these things for me." The child believes that the power that is in the father is limitless. The father has everything. That forefather of his, the child believes that he has got the money to buy an aeroplane. So he's telling the father, "Buy an aeroplane for me." To the best of his knowledge, the all-powerful, the one who has everything in the world, is that father of his. It's after when he grows up that he gets to know that, oh, somebody created my father too. And through that, I also came into existence. Then, instead of turning around to worship your father, you know that your father is not your creator. At the point that you knew only that your father was your creator, you worship your father. But when you get to know that your father is not your creator, you look for the one who created you and worship him. But that creator, you get to know that he has only commanded you to do good to your father and your mother. The Quran did not say that we should the worship that we're to give to God, we should rather give it to our parents. It says that we should do good to our fathers and our mothers and pray that Allah may have mercy upon them. Because Kema Rabbayani Sagira. Because I pray that Allah have mercy on them because they played the role of a Rab, of a Lord. When I was a small child, they brought me up. And at a point, I thought they were my gods. But they played that role of the nourisher in their own small way. And therefore, I owe them the duty of doing them good. It is that same thing that Allah is demanding from each one of us. But Allah does not say that do me good. Allah does not need any good from you. He says, worship me. So, the 2 verses of Surah Yaseen, the 36th chapter of the Holy Quran, which we have used today as our dars. I'll read the translation again. It says, and why should I not worship him? Why should I not worship that person who has created me? And why should I not worship that person who has created me? And it is obvious that I have nowhere to go, but that finally I will have to go back to him. When I know that he created me and he has directed me to worship him. And if I don't worship him, while I know that I'll go back to him, what answer do I have to give him on the day of judgment when I stand before him? Who has created me and unto whom you will be brought back? Shall I take others beside him as gods? That's what question Allah asks us in these verses of the Holy Quran is throwing to us. Shall I take others beside him as gods? If the gracious God should intend me any harm, those people we worship in the world instead of God. The wealthy people who, because of their wealth, we worship them. The politicians, because of their political authority, we worship them. The Quran says, if Allah intends you any harm, those people that you worship cannot save you from that harm. When Allah decrees that you will die today, no politician on earth can save you from dying. No rich person can save you from dying. People who are millionaires, they die and leave behind the wealth that they have, the millions that they have. They die and leave it behind. They don't take anything away. Their own wealth could not save them. Why do you think, since their wealth cannot save them, they can use their wealth to save you? If their wealth had the capacity of saving, the wealth would have first and foremost saved them from dying. It would have saved them from sickness. But they fall sick and die out of that sickness. Shall I take others beside him as gods? If the gracious God should intend me any harm, their intercession will avail me nothing. They cannot intercede for me before my Creator, nor can they rescue me. Sadaqallahu al-Azim, wa sadaqa Rasulul Kareem, Muhammad Mustafa, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
AL TV, keeping you in the know.